Welcome to the Core Women Podcast, the place for women entrepreneurs, authors, and self-starters looking to build community and gain valuable insights through expert interviews with women at the top of their game. Join your host, podcaster, producer, expert coach, entrepreneur, and author, Dr. Summer Watson, as she aims to inspire and empower you through these candid conversations. Lean in and embrace the journey. It's time to start the show. Here's your host, Dr. Summer Watson.
Welcome back to the Core Women Podcast. Today, I'm joined by Cindy Van Eeckhout, the brilliant mind behind the Joy of Life method, a sought-after business mentor, speaker, and seasoned entrepreneur. With a master's in business engineering, 8 years in corporate leadership, and over 20 years of entrepreneurial experience, including co-creating 4 successful businesses in Provence, France, Cindy now leads Alegria coaching, where she helps high-achieving women design a life and business rooted in joy, balance, and freedom. In this episode, we explore how Cindy blends strategy, mindset, and self-care to help women lead with intention and create sustainable success on their own terms. Welcome, Cindy.
Hello, welcome, Summer. Thank you so much for this beautiful intro. I am grateful to be on your amazing podcast, and I'm really ready to have a beautiful conversation together.
Well, I'm excited to have you here. But before we dive into your professional journey, if you could describe your life to this point in one word, what would that word be and why?
That's an easy one for me. So that word will be alegria, which is a Spanish word of joy of life. And why? Because joy, it hasn't just been like a feeling for me, it's been like a compass. Because every major decision that I made in my life, whatever one, it was from leaving the corporate world in Belgium and having these 4 soul-led businesses in the south of France, it was all guided by the desire to create a life which is rich in meaning, in purpose, in joy. And so for me, joy is the ultimate way to measure success. What I like to say about it is when we talk about success and joy is success without joy, it's like climbing the wrong mountain. Only to find the view isn't worth the climb. And this is how I combine both, because it's so key to be successful, but have this joy. This is my mission in life, to help business women to find the combi of both of them.
I love that. And I love the word that you picked because it really does exemplify everything that is inside of us, that is nurtured, that is developed. And I do believe that joy is different from happiness. Happiness is something that you're going to look for, but joy is something that you nurture and that is developed within. And so I love that you're helping folks do that.
For me, joy, it's like a way of being,
Yes.
where happiness is more like a way of feeling. So the first one, it's more internally. It's like a source that is really inside of us.
Yeah, exactly.
It's internally. And this is why I think it's so important. It's not something you can buy. It's not something you can find. You really have to create it little by little. And the nice part is it's there for everyone and it's for free. So this is what I like most about it. You just have to pay attention on it and to see how you can have your joy internally in your life, whatever it's your business life, your personal life, your family life. And this is what makes it so nice. It's so unique and so really personal for every different person in the world.
What does it mean to lead ourselves first? And why is this foundational in your coaching approach?
For me, leading ourselves first, it is like living in alignment with what really truly matters. It's a little bit what I was telling also with the joy. It is finding out what is really important for me. And this why, because for me, it means like honoring your own energy, setting boundaries that will protect your well-being, and making choices from a place of purpose instead of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And in my Joy of Life method, we always start with the inner world, because how we lead ourselves is how we lead others.
Yeah. Well, talk to us more since you mentioned this, and it was going to be one of my questions that I was going to ask, but talk to us more about your Joy of Life method. What is this? What is it all about? How did this come to you? And what ignites you about this particular method?
I'm going to maybe go back a little bit in time.
Sure.
I think like every entrepreneur at a certain time, you're chasing success in a traditional way. And we talked about it already before that we're doing the hustle, we sacrifice, we're quite perfectionist. I'm quite guilty, or was guilty on that part. And to a certain point, it works. It works like doing the hustle and working, until one day you just realize that it doesn't anymore. And then you feel like drained, disconnected, and asking yourself, like, well, what am I doing? And is this all there is? And for me, that breakdown became a little bit my breakthrough. And this is the heart of Alegria coaching, of my Joy of Life method. So what I do there is first and foremost, it's working on clarity. Having clarity in what truly matters to you. That is number one. And having this focus, because when you know what is important for you, it will give you more calm inside. And this is different for everybody, but you need to have this clarity. And also, clarity today can be different for you than clarity in 1 year or in 2 years or 2 years ago. So the clarity of the moment is number one. Step number two, this is all about managing your energy. And how do you do that? That's as simple as that. And we all know it, but in general, we don't do it. It is all about prioritizing self-care. This is step number two. And when I talk about prioritizing self-care, it is really finding the things that will energize you. Because I will say what I did before, when I was saying like the traditional way, it's like first you do, then you have, then you be, which means like you're working, you're doing everything for everybody, for your clients, for your kids, for your family, for everybody. And then at the end, you're so exhausted that there is zero time left for you. And this happens all over day after day after day. So your own energy is like going lower, lower, lower. And at the end, you will see that your body will react in one way or another. So I like in my Joy of Life method to flip things around and say, let's start with our self-care. Let's start with something we like for ourselves. It can be a daily ritual in the morning, which is very interesting because if you do it in the morning, you're quite sure you're going to do it. And it can be walking in nature, it can be meditating, yoga, just singing, dancing, whatever makes you happy and gives you energy. So not something that or some guru that is telling you have to do this. No, think whatever you like, do it in the morning and make it a daily habit and see that it will bring you energy and a smile. And when you start your day like that, thinking about yourself first, which sounds like very selfish, but it isn't selfish. So you think about yourself first, you create this little level of energy day by day by day, and this will create like a very big ripple effect toward the people you're working with. So this is step number two, prioritize self-care. It's not selfish, and it's like for me one of the most important things that we normally do at last, but I just recommend to do it first. Step number three, because if you work on the clarity, you work on the self-care, energy will boost, you will sleep better, your health will boost, and you will feel already, because lots of business women, I work with business women, with kids in general, they have this imbalance in work life. But if you start already with your energy, you will find like, oh, I will be feeling calmer, and your stress and overwhelm and exhaustion that you really feel like daily, it will reduce. And on top of that, and this is proven scientifically, when you feel more energized and when the stress is going down, your productivity will go up with 31%, which is like amazing, and your creativity with 300%. So then we go to step number three, and this is what I like most. It's work smarter, not harder. Because if you're in this flow already of being filled with energy, and with the work smarter, not harder, I really focus there on prioritizing the things that are the most important for you. So your top priorities in your company, in your business, whatever you're doing, or if you're working in the corporate world as well, what is the most important top priority and do focus on high achieving and high income activities. So this is number one in the work smarter, not harder. Then I go, very nice one, apart from the doing and the prioritization, it's the delegating part. And this is also a thing that we all know, but we don't dare or do it often because we're quite perfectionists and we think we can do it better ourselves. So the delegate, automate, so especially with AI or with lots of automation system, when you work on delegate, automate, and also dump at the end, the things that are really not important, you will see like you will gain hours every week. And the last part of the work smarter, not harder is actually planning the things that are your top priority and tracking them. Because if you don't plan it, nothing will happen. It's good to have theory in your mind, but that's the practical. And then two last points. The number 4, it's a mindset, because I do believe that in business, 80% is mindset. 20% is skills, but it's a mindset, and having a growth mindset, being open to learn and seeing challenges as opportunities, because I can tell you in life, again, if you're an entrepreneur, but also in corporate, challenges will come, life will be busy and things will happen. So see it as an opportunity and have fun with challenges, even though sometimes they're not so fun. And the last part for me, it's everything about impact and purpose. So these are the basis for me, the 5 pillars of my Joy of Life method. And it gives me a lot of joy because I really see the transformation with my clients. Was this an answer on your question, Sarah?
Absolutely. It was a beautiful answer, and you've given so many steps. And you know what I love here, Cindy, is that many times we'll go into like a in-service or a webinar or even a sermon in some cases where you'll be very inspired for a day and you'll be like, oh my gosh, I came out of there so inspired. But then you realize, they didn't really give any steps to how to begin this process. And then I feel a little let down. And I was inspired, but I wanted to go forward and I wanted to do A, B, or C to really help support what they were talking about. Now you've done that. You've given those steps. And to me, that is so beautiful because it helps that person know that there are steps. And here's what I really like too, is you're understanding that not everyone is the same. So there's something I call PPI. It correlates with what you talk about. It stands for passion, purpose, and impact. You've already mentioned all of it. You've talked about passion. You've talked about purpose. You've talked about impact. I just call it PPI because you know what? It's exactly what you're saying here. What's your passion? What's your purpose for doing what you're doing? What's your why? And what is the impact that you're having in the world? Because I think when you think from that perspective and you're doing from that perspective, it's more meaningful. There's going to be longevity. There's going to be less exhaustion because you're doing things that you absolutely are passionate about. You have a why for what you're doing, and you also want impact in community. And you talk about that. You've talked about that in regards to your method, your own evolution. Let me take this back a few steps because I do want to ask you, Cindy, what lit that light bulb in your head to say, this is it? You've had a professional evolution of your own from being in corporate, from starting your own businesses, from being a high achiever. So what finally was like your aha moment? Like, wait, I also need to do these things for myself, but I want to give this back, this idea and this method back to others. What was that moment where you were like, wait, I need to do this for me?
My real turning point came at the point that our businesses, so we had 4 businesses, and our businesses were growing, but I felt my internal pressure was growing as well. And there I knew, like, okay, there is something I need to do. So in my journey, one of the things that I decided, because the 4 companies, I don't did them together, I co-created them with my husband. So I'm very blessed and happy and joyful to have done this journey together with my husband, because it's so great to be sometimes with somebody you can really trust and do it together. But having our business on top and then knowing like I like it, but this is a little bit too much there to handle with just 2 persons, we decided to just stop 2 of the 4 businesses at that time. Why? Because we said like, okay, we've been doing this for 20 years already. And it was great. And we loved it. And it was in 2022, it was at the top of everything. And I said, like, why not stop at the top and have this positive feeling that we did what we did and we loved it. Otherwise, we wouldn't have done it for 20 years. And stop there and then continue with the two others. Because this was for me my way of getting the pressure a little bit down and having this balance that I was searching for. Because in theory, it's great what I'm saying, like having more time for yourself and doing these little things. But if you have like 4 businesses running, or you delegate more, which was also another thing that we started to do. But you have to take a decision, whatever the decision is. So that was one of the decisions that we made. And this is why I really fine-tune my program of reprioritizing things, because this is where it all starts with. Again, what is my priority? What is important for me at that stage? Because my decision would have been different 5 years before or 10 years before. So at that stage, that was for us the most important decision to take. And I was honoring in this way my energy. And if you do that, you will see that your success will flow. And I like when you were telling the PPI with this passion, purpose, impact. If you're pushing it, pushing it, pushing at a certain time, not only you will lose your energy, but things will not be flowing anymore because you lose your passion. You lose the things that are so crucial for you. And if you have this meaning and if things are flowing, then it makes it all more easier. And this is also one point I'd like to share with you, that when I was talking about the work smarter, not harder, some people call it time management. I don't call it time management. I call it more mastering your time, but not only just the professional part. I really combine the professional part, so your work life, together with your personal life and your family life. Because if you're able to master your time and put as much emphasis on the three, there is where gold is coming on. And mostly we just do the rational part of business, and we're great in planning business. But then also, if we do planning for business, it's mostly the things we do for others. And I make it much more larger and open it up. And you only have 24 hours in a day and you have to sleep as well. So, and then you will realize mathematically, like, oops, this is just too much for me. So it's also that I realized that having the 4 businesses together, it was too much for us. And that's fine. It's a learning and I loved everything I did. And just stopping after 20 years with 2 companies, that's perfect. And even if you stop earlier, everything is a learning, everything is a journey, and it's an experience. So I encourage everybody not to see things as failures, but as learnings. And even if you start something and then you say like, this is not really what I like to do. I prefer to do it more in a different way. Whatever you feel like, it's the best way. So always listen to your heart. And this is what we did. We always followed our heart to realize our dreams. And this is for me so important to share, that people do know it's not what others are saying you have to do, or what society thinks that is the best for you. It's what your heart is telling you. And if you don't dare to do it in one big step, we were quite abrupt and we stopped at the corporate world to come to the south of France to start our Alegria BRB. You just do it a little step by little step, and you keep what you have and you try with the thing that you would love to create. You try it 1 hour a week, 1 day a week, 2 days a week, and just try it out. And there is no failing. It's just trying, creating, and see whatever you feel like.
Yeah. What you're saying is appreciated tremendously, because you had 4 businesses, and I want to go back to this, and you decided to stop 2 of those. Was that hard for you? Was that hard to give that up? Because I know a lot of people take on what they're doing as part of who they are, as a definition of, this is me. I'm really busy. I have 4 businesses, and it defines them. So a lot of people will continue to go and exhaust themselves, and yes, be very successful, but be very tired and won't stop like you did and say, you know what? I can't do it all. We were very successful in all 4 businesses, but it's time to put aside the 2. Did that impact you in any way emotionally? Or were you more logical and said, all right, here's the numbers, here's the time in the day, here's the, because sometimes our emotions can really impede the decisions we make.
I truly follow you there. And yes, of course, if you're doing something for 20 years with all your heart, because nobody told us to do it, we wanted to do it, didn't know how long we were going to do it, but did it for 20 years. So, yes, it is emotional. It was really like a baby. It was our first baby. We have two other sons now, growing up almost 18 and 20 years old. This was like our first baby. But in life, you have to let go of your beautiful children as well and say one day, like, okay, you're grown up and live your life. And this is the same feeling. And yes, you have to take a little bit of time and let it sink in because really it was emotional. But on the other hand side, I work a lot on intuition. I can be very rational, but when it comes to my future and our future, I really listen to my heart. And then I go in nature and I just walk or I sit in nature or I swim. I love to swim. I love water. And I think like, okay, is this worthwhile continuing or is it time to let it go? And it just felt like it's time for a new chapter and we just let it go. So yes, it was emotional, but for me, it was just time. And if you overdo it, that's another thing. If you overdo it, then it can be even worse on every aspect, on your emotions, on your energy, on your business as well, because it will have an effect. So when you feel the time is ready, you just have to do it. I do again believe that you have to think with your head and rational parts are very important, but always listen to your heart.
Yeah. Well, I love that you were able to do that and make that decision for you and your partner as well as your family. And you're right. We have to let those little birds go, like the kids. It's called in psychology individuation. It's they start to individuate, and a lot of parents want to hold on and hold tight to those reins. And sometimes you just got to let them go because they've got to develop their own values, their own methods of success in life, all of that great stuff, right? And you took the steps to start creating that baby, that business. And yet you knew it was time. You listened to that inner knowing, which is something I really love. And a lot of people can get away from that intuition and stop hearing it. It's kind of like I forgot what movie this was. It was a Christmas movie about when we stop as adults hearing the Santa Claus bell. And it was like, "Oh, wow, we no longer hear the bell?" Because we got so far away from it, right? And so that's like our intuition. Start hearing that bell again, right? And that's what you do. You help through the Joy of Life method. You help people hear that bell again, come back to self, come back to their inner knowing, and start curating more of that energy that really helps them move through their day in a different way. So, thank you so much for sharing all that you've shared today. We've gone through a lot. I have two more questions. If you could tell me or tell those that are listening, how do you help high achieving women actually create those things in their lives that you've talked about? The energy, the freedom, the time.
It is so important. If you want to create time, freedom, and energy, you start first with being radically clear about what truly matters. This is the first thing. Be clear. And what I do then, it's master your time with a purpose-driven planning. This is what I was telling, like
Hmm.
seeing the purpose, but also combining it with every little aspect in your life. And then protect your energy thanks to boundaries, thanks to self-care. And the freedom for me, it comes thanks to working smarter, not harder, and doing sometimes things differently and not always the hard way, but just really smarter. And especially today with so much technology that we have, there are possibilities to work smarter, but we're not used to looking that way. So this is where I come in. I give this broad spectrum of different possibilities because again it depends on your job, it depends on the company, your own company, the corporate company you're working in, the job you're having. So there is no one fix for everybody. It doesn't exist. But the most important thing is trying to really knowing how you work today and do it in a smarter way.
Yes.
So this is how you can create all this. And also a myth, if I talk about that, for me, sometimes they call about work-life balance. And a very important myth is there. It's not about doing more, doing less, or doing everything. I come back to the same words. It's about doing more of what truly matters. And it's always coming back and back and back. And I think that freedom, it begins when you stop managing your time and you start leading your energy. And this is like a big shift as well.
Yeah, that's a huge shift. Thank you for mentioning that. As we come to the close of the interview, my last question is for women who feel stuck in the hustle culture, what is one powerful shift they can make today to begin their own journey towards joyful leadership?
The powerful shift for me is giving yourself permission to slow down and reconnect with yourself. It's like seeing rest not as a reward, but as a requirement. Because normally we do the hard thing, we work, and if we did the hard stuff, and after a certain time, say, okay, now I can reward myself and I'm allowed to have a little bit of a break, or I'm allowed to have a weekend off, or I'm allowed to have a vacation. I don't think that way. You first have to take this rest again to energize yourself, and then everything will flow so much more. And if you take a pause, you can say, like, what do I really need? What do I really need? And from that space, things will change. And one of the coach or mentor that I really appreciate a lot, his name is Rich Litvin. He says, like, slow down to speed up. Slow down to speed up. And I like it because for me, slowing down, it's not a weakness. It's like a wisdom. And that's where the real clarity and the power lives. And we think that if we're slowing down, you're not doing well enough in the corporate world or in the business world. No, it's the other way around. So for me, it's really slowing down, reconnect with yourself. And then when you know that, then you will speed up.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Cindy, for joining me on the Core Women podcast today.
You are more than welcome. I love the conversation we were having and all the things you were reflecting. I feel we're really on the same level. So thanks, Summer, for sharing all these beautiful things with me as well.
Thank you so much. You can follow Cindy Van Eeckhout on LinkedIn and at alegriacoaching.eu.
Thank you for joining us on the Core Women podcast with Dr. Summer Watson. We're so glad you're here and would love to connect more with you. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Core Women, and on Twitter at Core Women 1. For more about Core Women and Dr. Watson, visit corewomen.com. Want more support and resources for amazing women like you? Great! Join Dr. Watson and Jen Fontanilla at the Life, Love, and Money Collective, a Core Women production that aids in understanding the key traits that might be getting in the way of living a life that you are absolutely passionate about. Connect with Summer and Jen and find out more at thelifeloveandmoney.com.